Good morning. It's Friday, and I'm so glad to be here as always. And I'm really grateful we're having a quiet astrology week compared to the last two. So I hope y'all are enjoying a little bit of a more mellow week, not a lot of activity, and that you're ready for the weekend. So I am going to read the Akashic Prayer, and let's see what the guides have to say for us today, whatever message, and then I'm going to get into some questions that have been submitted. And you know what? Before I get started, I'm going to draw us. I forgot to draw a card last week. I'm just seeing what the card is for us at the beginning of our call today or talk today. So it is authentic self. It says sometimes we are easily influenced by others, questioning, inspired by, comparing ourselves. Stay true to your own amazing, unique genius. You know what I love about this card? Something that has I've been really talking about in a lot of readings is now I still say the planet Uranus. I do. That's old school. But that planet, moved into Gemini for the next 7 years. And that planet, I call it the planet of authenticity. If you read my newsletters, you probably read about it there. So I love that this card came up because, gosh, with this influence, and it's affecting all of us differently, depending on our sun signs and our rising signs. And by the way, if y'all don't know your rising signs, see if you can figure that out, because it is equally as important as your sun sign. And when you read stuff, you need to really read for both of them, because they highly influence your way of being here. Anyway, what I've been focusing on a lot, or the guides have been, is really talking about the authentic self and the opportunity we have to really live into that. So, what a great card to start. Okay. All right, I am going to read the prayer. Come on, Poppy. Here's Poppy. Here's my little girl. She said she got to be here. Come here. She's even talking today. Oh, okay. I ask God if He will have a shield of love and truth around you permanently, so only God's love and truth will exist between you and me. I allow the masters, teachers, and loved ones of you to channel through me out of whatever realm to say whatever they wish. I ask the permission of the Lords of the Akashic Records, so I'm able to look into the records of you and remove whatever information I'm allowed. Okay, thank you, Poppy. All right, let's see here. Thank you for the well wishes. I still have this sinus stuff, y'all, but I finally have an appointment with an allergist in a week, and then the beginning of August, I'm seeing an ENT. I'm going to get to the bottom of this at some point. But thank you for thinking of me. Okay. All right, let's see here. So the guides. All right, here. Well, this is not new information that they want to talk about today. And they said they really just want to put out a reminder, because we can get so ungrounded in our just day-to-day, living. And there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on, in all of our individual lives. And so what they want to remind everyone is that everything is energy. And they're saying, really, really look at everything as energy. The chair you're sitting in right now is energy. Your thoughts, your feelings, all energy. And they want to remind you that your outer world, like what you're experiencing in life, is a reflection of your inner world. And that simply means your dominant energetic vibration. And so you're in control of that. And they want to remind you of the power you have to be in control of that vibration, be in control of that energy, and that you can really turn that vibration at will, just like you would turn, a radio dial, or a TV channel. They make it sound easy. It's not always that easy, especially when you're really feeling something strong, or you're um, facing something, a little more serious in life. So what they're saying is to come back to that place of being really grounded and come back to that center of yourself. And whatever you might be feeling, acknowledge the feeling and then realize that's an energetic feeling, and that you can be with that. And you could also be with the feeling you would rather be in, and allow yourself to gradually drift to that other feeling. It's not as easy to flip a switch and be in a different mood. Some people can, and sometimes you can. Um, but they want you to think about how you can be more mindful of your vibration, how you can tend that energy. Because, we all have desires in life. We all want life to be a certain way, or we'd like to see things change, um, evolve, improve, whatever it might be. And that's the nature of our being here. We are evolutionary beings. And so we are constantly seeking some kind of change. And in that, what really fosters the change is the energy that we're offering. So they want you to think about that and think about what your dominant vibration might be. And the way you identify that is by looking at your life and what's going on in your life, because it is a reflection of how you're being. And they don't want any of you to feel bad about this. Really, like if you don't like what you're looking at in life, they want you to realize you have power. You have power to change it. You are ultimately here as a grand creator. And the way you create is by changing that vibration. So if you want to feel happier, if you want to feel lighter, if you want more clarity, they said do things that will put you in that state of being. And these are some simple things. For clarity, they said keep a clear glass of water next to you. Drink more water. Water, I mean, even when I was studying the Akashic Records, our teacher said if we can't get a clear answer for someone, take a sip of water. It like resets the clarity vibe and clears your intuition. Sometimes just holding a clear glass of water can do that for you. So that's a lovely little tip for clarity. If you want to feel lighter in your body, they recommend going without meat, whether it's for a day, a week, or however long. If you're not a vegetarian, meat carries a denser vibration, and it also carries the vibration of that animal and what its life has been like, what the charge was when it might have departed this life. So again, they don't want you to feel bad about eating meat. They have no judgment. That is a choice you make, and perfectly fine with that. Some people need to eat meat, and everything on this planet is here for a reason, and there's absolutely no judgment. However, if you want to feel lighter, even for a day, try a day where you don't eat meat and you just eat like fruits and vegetables and things that have high water content, that move through the body quicker, because those are the things that energize you and brighten you. Let's see what else they say here. They are also saying singing, dancing, moving the body, laughter, anything that you can watch or read or listen to that makes you laugh, all of that lifts your vibration. And that actually can really shift it quickly. And those are just some ideas that they're throwing out. And if y'all have any ideas, y'all type them in. Maybe I'll share them in my next newsletter of how do you shift your vibration. Uh, maybe it's turning off the TV for a day. Maybe it's getting out, acrylics or pastels. Maybe it's finger painting. What can you do to let yourself play a little more? So play and laughter are two quick ways to raise your vibration. Almost quick, like flipping a switch quick. Taking a shower. Even, I have incense burning. That always lifts the vibration, especially if you use an incense that doesn't have a lot of fillers and synthetics in it. Aromatherapy. What else here? Even going for a walk. How many of you have driven by a park and stopped and just got on the swing set for a little while? Just allowing yourself to feel that freedom or sense of being, like a child again. They said when we came into this planet as our childlike beings, for the first 7 years of being a child, our right brain is open. And that's our intuitive brain, that's our creative brain. It's the part of us that is still connected to spirit. And so that child nature of us is the ultimate creator. And so when you can access that child within, whether you call it your inner child or the divine child, when you can access that, you step into creator mode. And from that place, you can watch your life begin to change. Now, you want to be in that place as consistently as possible, but even getting in it for a little bit is going to set things in motion. Right, hang on here. And something they've said before about being a creator, accessing that divine child within. They said when you're feeling stuck in life, when you're feeling bored, when you're feeling even hopeless or powerless in your situation, when you really, really, really want something to change, they said the antidote to stuckness, really, or the antidote to feeling powerless or hopeless is to create. And that could be you just decide to go, make a blackberry cobbler. Something, just you create something in the kitchen. It can be that simple, but the idea is to create. You could, arrange a stack of rocks outside on your patio differently. That's creative. You can move the, pictures and furniture in your home. That's creative. So, and that also shifts the energy in a big way. But think about things like that. Think how much power you have, and think even those little things can make such a huge difference and really put a big momentum in play. I love that. And, that card that I drew at the beginning, authentic self, that's your divine child. That's who came in here and who wants to be here and who is still in there and who still wants to do things and, see what this world is all about. So think about that. Okay, I'm going to hop to some questions here. Okay. Okay, so my question is, some psychics are warning that we here in America must stop eating fresh fruits and vegetables. Isn't that funny that just came through? Due to a parasite epidemic. on here, that has already begun. Let me see here. Is this an accurate warning? It's so funny, isn't it, that the guides are talking about eating fresh fruits and vegetables to raise your vibration. And you know what's even funnier? I get a daily newsletter that I love. They just touch on a bunch of different things. It's not a long newsletter, and but this parasite, it's called cyclospora, was in there this morning. An article on that, or a link to an article on that. So now that's my personal knowledge with reading about that today, but I'm asking the guides, how would they address this? And they are saying this is something, it is active. Primarily right now, it's in the north to the northeast, like Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, even it looks like Michigan, Houston, no, that's in the south. I think North Carolina. Those are all places it's starting to, or it has been showing up, but heavier in looks like the north to the northeast. Now, they're also telling me that this is something that is actually looked for every year. This is not anything new. It often is found in things like, they're saying raspberries, lettuce, basil, cilantro. I don't know why those things in particular. Um, it's not found in all fruits and vegetables, but it is something that is like, it comes in a season. There's a season of it, and I want to say it is like, well, I guess I'm just going to say the summer season, but it does happen every year. Not as large of an outbreak at times, compared to others. So given this year, it does seem to be a little bit more active, more prevalent. And what they would ask you to do is trust your intuition. And so when you are, shopping for fresh fruits and vegetables, if you reach for something and you pause, if your body responds in a way that pauses, or you suddenly have a doubt about it, you need to honor that, because that's your guidance system at work. And maybe you don't want to buy that particular thing, and then reach for something else and see if that feels better. So they want you to think about that too. Now, they're also saying that this parasite is a vibration as well. It's an energetic being, and you have to line up with it on some way in order to attract that into your experience. And so they would have you be mindful of, parasites feed on things. And so that's a behavior. And just, they said, check yourself. Are you feeding on something somewhere? Are you thriving on some particular information that you have to have? Or I don't even know any examples of parasitic behavior, but they're just saying be mindful of that. And be mindful of the fear around it, because fear also can drop down to those lower vibrations where the things you don't want come in. What is that phrase? Worry or fear is the act of attracting exactly what you don't want. So it's hard to step out of fear sometimes, but when you come back to that center and that place of knowing and really trust your intuition, can you get to that place that says, I know I'm not going to get that? Or I know my intuition is going to guide me on what to choose, for my health and well-being. But it is out there. So it's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. But again, you still have power over this too. Now, some people, I just have to say, could be in the soul contract to get it. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean, oh, you got a low vibration, you let this in. It might mean that there's something your soul wants to understand about this. And it might be because in another lifetime you're going to be a doctor that treats it. So you want firsthand experience of it this lifetime. So that's how those things work. Not everything is concrete, if that makes sense. So be open to what it might mean for you. Okay. Okay. I have had a foster dog from a shelter for a couple of weeks. I can definitely imagine this being a foster fail and keeping him. But if I do that, I might not be able to foster other dogs and be that bridge between a shelter and forever home, which I really want to do. I wonder if my guides think this dog belongs here. Okay. I am hearing no, absolutely not. It's almost like this is your final test to pass, if that makes sense, not fail, but pass. And you will feel so good that you could send this dog off to a forever home. And then you haven't compromised your desire to do that work and help more dogs, because quite frankly that's really what you're doing. You're helping more dogs and have a chance. And if you abandon the foster program, sure, you can help the one dog you took in, the animals in your life, and that's equally as rewarding. But your soul wants to expand into helping more. And by being a good foster mom, you can do that. So look at this dog as part of your soul contract that came in to bring you this temptation, to give you the courage and the strength to let him go on his way to the home he's meant to be with. You have to remember they have their journeys. You know, they come in and they choose to be with you for a certain amount of time for a certain reason. When you let them move on, they're honoring a soul contract with somebody else. They may be somebody's soul companion for life, and you get to, be a part of that process. So it's really beautiful work to foster. I mean, I have to admit, I don't think I could do it. I don't. So I admire you, and I can totally understand how difficult it would be to take one in and let it go. Now, the guides want to also say, we a lot of us healers, rescuers, wanting to help, wanting to serve, wanting to take care of. And we sometimes get a little lost in that and think, oh, if we let something go, then, what if we're putting them in a bad situation? What if we are the ones that should be taking care of them? All of these questions are very, very, legit to ask. And the guides are saying, this is where you have to trust in the process, and you have to trust in this co-creative process. And, the guides of the dogs, the guides of other people, your guides, and that this animal has been entrusted to you for a time being, but it's not meant to stay with you. It has a journey somewhere else that it's meant to honor in a longer term, if that makes sense. And they want you to think, if you feel like you're letting the dog down, you're worried about the situation it's going into, you have to step back from that, because that's going into that fear space. And then the rescuer part of us wants to be in control and wants to do the right thing. And often that part of us thinks we're the only one that can do the right thing by this animal. So remember that. That's when we kind of have that, we slip into our ego a little bit and think, oh, we're really important to this animal. And I'm not saying you're doing that, but a lot of us that want to rescue animals do that. And so that's something you have to remember. You're just meant to have a temporary role in their life and be that bridge, so that they can have a long, healthy life with someone else. And you get to keep opening your home and bringing this beautiful energy in and watch that energy transform, and then move on. So, what you're doing is really facilitating more happy homes, more happy companionship. Um, and I'm hearing that this dog came to you as part of that contract to put that temptation out there, if that makes sense. But I'm hearing you will pass and not fail. That's cool. Okay. Oh, you saw somebody said they saw something fly over me. Oh, we'll have to go back and look at the video. Ha! Love that. Okay. All right, this is a question. Any idea? Now, I know this person too, but I won't say who it is. Any idea where I might meet my soulmate? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. The guides would like you to be open to creating an online profile. And they would even, doesn't have to be a dating profile. It could be Facebook friends. I know a lot of people that have met really good friends, like friends for life off of that. And they're saying they would like for you to be open to creating a profile. And one, because it's introducing the energy of putting yourself out there, so to speak, but it's introducing that energy that you're interested in being seen. And that would be a really good first step. They said from there, you'll be really surprised at what takes off. And I feel like they're going to be invitations. I can't tell you directly where this soulmate is going to show up for you. I will say this. It does feel like there is one there, though. I can tell you that. I do see a union. I see a connection. And I see a lot of laughter, too. Like this person will be really compatible and easygoing. Mm-hmm. So I do see that person. I cannot see the actual meeting of this person. I would say the timeline can be in your control, as in allow yourself to be seen, be willing to be seen, create a profile, be willing to put it out there. I mean, try a dating app. I know a lot of people that have really successful relationships from that too, like long-term relationships from that, marriages even. So, it's not right for everybody, but in your case, I'm hearing it would be a good idea. And I'm also hearing feels local to your state, local to your, would say within a 2-hour radius. Mm-hmm. But they would ask you to start there and then watch how things start unfolding. But when you get excited about it and you feel fun, you might get a little nervous and feel weird, all of those things. They said just let those go by and really try and have the fun with this and look at it as an adventure. Mm-hmm. And really, the other thing is because it makes you really start thinking about who you are, how you want to be recognized, what you want people to know and see about you. And in this process, you get more clarity on that. And then if there's something that you want to change, you can. Mm-hmm. The other thing too and this is a message for everyone, relationships, we are always attracting our mirrors. And so if you want to see what your dominant vibration is, besides looking at what's going on in your life, look at who you date, look at who you start attracting, and if you're attracting, say, emotionally unavailable people, that might mean you're not quite ready, that there might be you're not quite emotionally available yet. And so take that as a clue and say, what do I need to do to become more available? But I'll always look at what you're attracting as an indicator of how you're showing up, if that makes sense. And if you're not attracting anybody, it's because you're not showing up. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. All right. Will I ever be in a healthy relationship with my oldest child's father? Okay. All right. That's interesting. Hang on here. My first, what I hear, the first thing that comes to me is highly unlikely. And then they go to the father and they show him as being fairly insecure and having a lot of shame in his life. And then they also show that he does have the capacity to have really loving relationships. And so a little bit of a dichotomy there. Um, I would say romantic relationships are probably challenging for him. Um, children, grandchildren, those kind of relationships, I would say, come naturally to him is very loving. Um, and he really appreciates that role he gets to play there. But as a partner, I feel like he's really challenged in that area. And if you just want to be friends, um, in that sense, I think I would put it out there as I'm not looking for anything, I'm not attached to anything, I just want to have a mature, healthy friendship. And it looks like he would feel, the guides are saying, off the hook. And feel less pressure. I guess he puts a lot of pressure on himself when it comes to like dating and things like that, or being with someone. So just be aware. So I'm not going to rule it out. I would say the stronger trajectory is him being very uncomfortable. But I do think that can be overcome. Might be, if you try and really build a friendship with him, it might be really turbulent, and you'd have to be really prepared and patient that he's just having a bunch of reactions. But you just stay the steady calm until he can meet you there, if that makes sense. And, ask yourself too, what is your motivation in it? Like, what within you, where does that desire come from? And make sure that's a clear, genuine desire to just really have a healthy friendship, or whatever it might be. Because, you don't want to go out with any charges from this life if you can help it. I'm not getting that the soul contract is quite complete, so I'd say there's still a little bit more there to play out, and that might be what what is driving your curiosity there. So that soul contract's not quite done. Okay. Oh, somebody just said, I remember when I asked you about a soulmate a long time ago, and hearing that there was one out there was enough for me to totally change my vibe around meeting people. Yes, see? Isn't that awesome? And she met her soulmate. So that's really cool. That's a cool story. All right, let's see here. Any of you joining live today have any questions? Anything we can look at for you? Okay. Will my business become, I don't know if y'all can hear Poppy in the background. All right, will my business become profitable? Okay, I'm hearing yes, that it is entirely possible for it to become profitable. And they said just to remember your mission, remember what brought you to that, stay in your heart center. Really be mindful of letting fear or lack getting in those thoughts. And y'all, that's with anything, even dating. If you're looking out there and like, oh, there's just not a pool of people, well, that's going to be your experience. So in your business, I don't care if you have a down day, 10 down days, or whatever it might be, just know that it's in your experience to be successful and profitable, and that it's not in your story to be an unsuccessful entrepreneur, if that makes sense. So think of the stories you're telling yourself. You know, I had a business, and I've probably told this story before. When I was in Fairhope, I opened a business back in 2008. It was a little funky, hippie organic store, Rosy Blue. And I opened it the year that the oil spill happened down, in the Gulf. I mean, timing is crazy. And the economic boom, 2008, the housing market crash, all of that was going on. And our business was primarily summer season tourists. And the day of the oil spill, I'm not kidding, it was my birthday too. Business, the town was just empty overnight. And I remember my neighbor had a store, probably 2,000 square feet. Mine was about 400 square feet, and that included the back room. And so she did a lot more business than me, obviously. And she had, anyway. But I remember one day walking out, and she was telling me what she had sold for the day. And I thought, oh, that's not going to be my story. That's not going to be my story. I'm not going to let this oil spill affect me. And something in me just really changed. And I saw that as not even an obstacle. And we started doubling and tripling and just blowing numbers out the water. And I'm telling you, there were no tourists in town, but the energy that I put out there is what was being responded to, because I was determined it was not going to be my story to have poor sales with that economic climate. And you can do the exact same thing. Just know what your mission is and what you want to share with the world, and keep reminding yourself that you're up to good work. Okay? Thanks for asking that. Okay. Okay. All right, hang on one second. What is the highest potential my relationship with my mom relationship in this lifetime, and is anything preventing us from experiencing that? What is okay, hang on here. What is the highest potential? Let me read this out loud. I'm mumbling so all y'all can hear. What is the highest potential my relationship with my mom relationship in this lifetime, and is anything preventing us from experiencing that? Okay. Okay. You know what I'm hearing? I do hear this is a bit of a past life that's being balanced here. And I would say you're here to be a role model and a teacher for your mother. And I'm hearing that you have a great capacity for love, and that that you can bring that to the table. You can express that. You can offer that in everything you do. You are not being that way to get a reaction out of somebody or get a response that you want from somebody. And it's more just show up how you are, loving, beautiful, kind, and maybe one day your mother can meet you there vibrationally. I doubt it. I'm not. That would be worth looking into a little bit more, but I feel like she's going to see how you are as a mother, see how you are as a person. And I would say that's really, I don't want to say it's really foreign to her, but it's not comfortable for her to be that way. But just know that she's seeing that in you. So part of her soul is gaining an understanding. So when she leaves this lifetime, she will go out with that knowledge and that understanding. And she could bring that with her into the next lifetime and understand how that looks when it's expressed. And she'll just try again, if that makes sense. So the big thing is to not take anything personally and not diminish your light or think you're anything less than because of how your mom or anybody's responding to you. Because, yeah, just remember who you are. And everybody's opinion of you and how they treat you, it's all coming from their stuff and their dominant vibration. So, and this goes for any relationships, y'all. When somebody is no longer in your life, or you just realize you're not talking as much or something, it's because your vibrations have shifted and it's evidence of change in some way. So it's not a bad thing. It just really reflects alignment or misalignment. So if I had to say with your mom, it might not be until she's ready to make her transition from this earth that she softens and has that vulnerability and really shows her authentic self. But that, I would say, there's something in her soul's journey that's all about. I would not take that personally. Are you playing a role for her? Yes. Part of that soul contract? Yes. But it's not your role to be hurt by it, if that makes sense. And I know that's big work. It's a mom. That's a huge relationship. And we don't have enough time to really dive into that here. But on a high level, see if just that perspective can help you for now. Okay, here. Okay, I don't know how to think about a friend who I feel has kicked me to the curb. I feel I want to just move on and let it all go. Do the guides have any advice for me? Okay. Okay, let's see. Well, kind of going on the heels of that answer about the mom, we do not know why other people do what they do, think what they think, say what they say, and really, we can't take things personally. Like, and if somebody stops being a good friend to you, then, that's a sign that you have an opportunity to either, have a clear boundary there and, choose other relationships that feel more in alignment with you. You can always explore if there's a root cause to the misalignment, if that person is willing to discuss it. And if they're not, it's hurtful to be shut out of somebody's life that you don't even know why yet. You have to trust on some level you're no longer vibrating at the same place. And you have to trust that you're in perfect harmony with yourself. And the key here is not doubt yourself. Don't think you did anything wrong. You just understand you may be just really, I would say, like kind of like split hairs, just really going two different directions. And we can't save people either. They have to go the route they're going. And if somebody chooses to walk away, it's kind of, I know Mel Robbins wrote that book, Let Them. Um, but really, you don't want to compromise your well-being and your inner harmony, your peace of mind, um, worrying about that or trying to fix something, and um, but you don't even know what happened. So let me see here. I would say this: you're having a lot of positive change in your life, is what I am understanding. And things are shifting for you. Your way of being here is shifting. So, in that, your vibration is shifting. And I would say it's getting a little lighter and lightening up. And you're reaching for new and more. And life is starting to feel maybe a little more adventurous or just a little different. And you might have a little more excitement. And that's defining right there. If somebody can't meet you there, they prefer to stay in that vibration they're in. And just wish them well on their way and wish for their evolution, and you enjoy your life. And if they come back around sometime, embrace them, be open to that, have no judgment. Just let people be where they are. And you stay in your happy place of where you're going, if that makes sense. And think of this too, if somebody leaves our life, think of it as a space is opened up in your life. The universe abhors a vacuum, it will fill it. Somebody else will come in. A different friend is going to step up that's going to meet you where you are now. Okay, thank you for asking that. Okay, I had the intense feeling 3 months ago that it was time to be a mother. The doctors have now given me the green light. Any insight from the guides? Why now? I've never felt the desire before. Well, it's probably that Uranus and Gemini. It might be shining its spotlight on your home life, your family life, and that may be where it's really activating. I would say the timing just wasn't until now. But I would really look at where Gemini is affecting your chart. Uranus and Gemini is affecting your chart because it's going to sit in one of your houses, and it could be sitting in that house of family, and that's where that came from. So I love it though. I think it all, like green light's a great word. It all feels like a wonderful alignment to me for you, and that the timing is now. And the other thing too, sometimes, well, no, all the times, these little beings that want to come in, they watch, they choose their parents, they wait for people to get together. Um, and they know the time they want to come in. They know when they want to be born. They know the year they want to come in. They know the month they want to come in. Um, and that could be part of that too, that this little being wanted to come in at a specific time. So that will be fun to explore as that progresses. Okay. Feeling a bit low energy due to uncertain future financial stability. Husband starting a new position after a year off. The new CEO is a woman and likes him. Will this work out for financial stability? I'm hearing yes. Mm-hmm. Let's see if there's anything else they say. I also feel like there's something for you to do too. Um, and I'm not sure if you were on for the beginning of our talk today, but we talked a lot about being a creator in our lives and having the power to create change. So please go back and listen because I think that would be valuable for you to hear. I would just say yes, your husband's in a good spot. Feels like you get this sigh of relief and a bit of a breather, and yet there's still something for you to do too. Hopefully that helps. Okay. Okay, how to navigate worry that two friends in my life who are both struggling right now will later confront me for not being a good friend in their time of need. Hmm. All right, let's see here. So you're worried that they might confront you at a later time saying you weren't there for them. Okay. Well, that's an understandable worry. Many of us have had those same um, criticisms in our head that maybe we're not a good enough friend, or we're not being a good enough partner, that we wish we could do more, um, but acknowledging that we haven't. Um, what's really the most important thing is look at that narrative in that you're telling yourself, or that worry that you think might be out there, and ask, imagine that day does come. Do you want to hang on here. Okay, the guide said this. Let's just go backwards a little bit. They said, to put it simply, everybody's idea of a good friend is different. And your idea of a good friend is different than theirs. So when somebody comes and says to you, you weren't really a good friend during my time of need, I would ask them what they were looking for. What is their definition of good friend? And I'm not saying you're going to enter into that conversation, but the important thing for you to remember is their definition is going to be different than yours. And they place expectations on you, and that's not fair, you know. But we do that to people in our lives and people we love. We It's just a natural human thing to do. And when that time comes, you just be honest with where you were. You didn't have the capacity to be there for them in the way that they needed or wanted. And that's perfectly fine. If they're judging you for that, or hurt and you can't work through that, and they can't see from your perspective, and maybe that's a sign, that the vibration and alignment there is changing. But the other thing that I'm hearing to be mindful of is when somebody's in a time of need, their vibration's going to be a little on the heavier side, right? And that's normal. They're going through something, they're struggling. We can't be high vibing all the time. And sometimes when a person is in that place, they want you to meet them there. They want you to get down and be with them in that misery. And that's compromising your own vibration. And honestly, if you can't be with someone who's struggling and have empathy or compassion without losing your inner harmony, then you're self-protecting, really. Misery loves company, and that's not helpful. It's just not helpful. And you have to also realize that, so I'm throwing a lot at you, guides are always co-creating, and they're always bringing people together. If they know it's going to help one or the other, they are also keeping people apart if they know it's not going to be helpful to one or the other. And so you have to trust in that process. If you're not reaching out, if you're not doing something, there's a reason. And you have to be open to that reason. Is it self-protection? Is it because you don't have the strength to not fall into misery too? I mean, that's a real thing, and you have to really protect that within yourself. And can you send them a card, from that you love them and you're thinking of them, and however you're supporting from where you are? Can you do something like that feels within your reach to do? Because you may find a way to show care and support that's comfortable for you. Still may not be what they're looking for, but that's okay. You still have to be your authentic self. And you have to trust that there's a bigger picture going on here. And if they feel let down by you in some way, that's going to be something they have to work through. Mm-hmm. I had a really good friend that I knew since I was 13, and we were friends, best friends, all through, you know, junior high, high school, college, even after college. I mean, we did everything together. Even when I moved across country, she would come out. We went on trips together, everything. And at some point, I didn't realize what clinical depression was at this time in my life, but she had it, but I didn't know it. And I thought she was just being mean and hateful. And she started being really negative and attacking me. So I had a boundary there. And I kind of just, well, I broke up with her as a friend. And it was really hard because we had such a beautiful history together. Anyway, later in life, we reconnected, started being friends again. And she told me she thought I was a fair weather friend. And I was like, oh my God, nobody would ever say that about me. And it was so shocking to me that that was her perspective. Um, and I couldn't change that, but that was in her mind. But I had to know in my heart, I'm not a fair weather person. And that was just her experience, and that was her impression. And we still continued to rebuild the friendship, but it never got back to where it was. And she ended up passing before we really, really reconciled. And I had some regret there myself. Would I have liked to have reconciled in a stronger way? Yes, but we didn't. And so I trust that our connection in spirit is strong. She's seeing what's going on here. Her perspective can be clear. She was coming from a clinically depressed perspective. And so what she was looking at was from that place. And I would say your friends that are struggling have a perspective that's different than yours, if that makes sense. And it's just where they're coming from at the time. But don't lose sight of who you know yourself to be in all of that. She called me a fair weather friend more than once. And I was like, okay, well, whatever. I know I'm not. So I'm sorry you feel that way. It was really all I could do. And I'm happy with that. And I would say, same thing for you. Remember who you are and don't let anybody take that away from you, even people you love dearly. So hopefully that helps. Okay. Anything else, you guys? All right. Okay, let me see here. All right. Well, you guys, this was really a powerful session today. I'm just really I just love the information. Like, I want to go back and listen to this, and I certainly want to go back and see what flew over the head. But I'm going to draw a card for the end of our session today. Excuse me. Hang on here. Wondering and wandering. We have so much to learn from the world around us. Wonder, meander, let life teach you its secrets. An inquisitive mind feeds the soul. How about that? These two I think are perfect. Authentic self, wonder and wondering. This life really is your journey. It is your journey. You are in charge of your journey. And it really is an adventure. And find that divine child within, even if it's just for a moment or a spark. But it's that divine child that came in here ready for this adventure. Think of all these little divine, sparkly beings. They always show up as sparkly beings to me when they're still in spirit, the little babies that want to come in. But think of them planning their adventures here. That was you too. And you are still here. And that part of you that was up there designing all that is still here and still in there. So I thank you all for joining me today. This was really a beautiful, beautiful session. Great questions, great energy. And I thank you so much. And I will see you next Friday. Y'all have a beautiful weekend. Okay, bye. Oh, did I end stream? Nope, I didn't. Okay. Okay, now I'm going. All right. Bye, you guys.